Let's talk about a huge clash that's happening right now. On one side, you've got smart contracts, this revolutionary, self-executing code. And on the other, the Indian Contract Act, a legal system that's been around for over 150 years. This is a story about cutting-edge technology running headfirst into deep-rooted tradition.
And really, this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Can a legal framework that was designed for handwritten agreements in the 19th century even begin to handle autonomous code that lives on the blockchain? Well, let's dive in and find out.
All right, so first up, let's get our heads around this new world. This is the world of smart contracts, and it's all built on this incredible promise of perfect automation, total efficiency, and, well, unbreakable rules.
So what in the world is a smart contract? You know, the easiest way to picture it is like a super smart digital vending machine. You walk up, you put in a specific coin, in this case maybe some cryptocurrency, and the machine automatically follows its programming. It checks the payment, and bam, out comes your soda, or in the digital world, maybe a digital asset or access to a service. No need for a cashier, no lawyers to check the terms, just pure automated code doing its thing.
Breaking it down, it's a pretty straightforward process. First, a developer writes all the rules, the if this, then that, into code. Then, and this is the crucial part, that code gets sent out onto a blockchain. Think of this like carving it into digital stone. It's public, everyone can see it, and it's permanent. It can't be changed. From that point on, the contract just sits there, waiting. And the second its conditions are met, it executes all by itself. Once it's live, it's a completely hands-off process. And this whole idea leads us to the core belief, the absolute mantra of this new world. Code is law. What that means is simple and radical. Whatever the code says, happens. Period. There's no room for human interpretation, no appeals process, no, hey, let's change the terms a bit. Because the code is on that decentralized blockchain, it is, for all intents and purposes, unstoppable and unchangeable.
Okay, so that's the shiny new technology. Now let's flip the coin and talk about the other side of this clash, the old world. This is a world governed by India's foundational contract law, a system built for a very, very different time.
I mean, just look at this timeline. It's kind of wild when you see it laid out like this. The Indian Contract Act was written in 1872. The World Wide Web didn't even exist for more than 100 years after that. And the tech behind smart contracts really only took off around 2015. We are literally asking a law from the age of steam engines to govern the age of decentralized computing.
So what does this old law actually care about? Well, it's all about humans and, being fair to each other. For a contract to be valid, there has to be a clear offer and acceptance. Something of value has to be exchanged. And really importantly, the people involved have to have the capacity to make a contract. They have to be adults of sound mind. The law also demands free consent, which means nobody was tricked or forced or made a huge mistake. The whole system is designed to protect people and their intentions, not just blindly enforce the words on a page.
And here we go. This is where the fireworks happen. The world of rigid, perfectly logical code slams right into the world of flexible, sometimes messy, human-centered law. This is the code versus the covenant.
The first massive point of conflict, immutability versus flexibility. A smart contract, as we said, is set in digital stone. You can't change it. But Indian law is built on the exact opposite idea. Our courts have the power to step in and fix things. They can cancel a contract if someone was defrauded, or even change it if there was an honest mistake. So how on earth do you fix a contract that is by its very nature designed to be unfixable?
Next up is the whole "who are you" problem. On the blockchain, you're not a person with a name and an address. You're a pseudonymous string of letters and numbers. But the law demands to know who it's dealing with. How can a court confirm you're old enough to sign a contract, or that you're of sound mind, if it doesn't even know your name? This runs completely counter to legal basics like Know Your Customer or KYC.
And this might be the biggest philosophical clash of them all. Code is law versus the legal idea of a meeting of minds. A smart contract will do exactly what its code tells it to do, even if that code contains a bug that leads to a totally disastrous outcome. The law, on the other hand, tries to look deeper. It cares about what the people involved actually intended to agree on. If the words on the paper don't match that real human intention, a court can just throw the whole thing out.
And look, this isn't just some academic debate. This has huge real-world consequences. Back in 2016, there was this big decentralized investment fund called the DAO. An attacker found a loophole, a bug in its smart contract code, and used it to drain $60 million worth of crypto.
Now here's the crazy part. The attacker didn't break any rules. They followed the flawed code perfectly. This created an absolute firestorm. If code is law, was a crime even committed? It's a question that honestly shook the entire crypto world to its core.
So, okay, we've got this massive gap, this chasm, really, between old law and new code. What's the path forward? You can't just pick one and ignore the other. The only real solution is to start building a bridge to connect these two very different worlds.
So what would that bridge look like? Well, experts have laid out a potential roadmap, and it's about a lot more than just writing a new Smart Contracts Act, though that's a pretty important first step for clarity. Think about judicial training. That's not just a boring PowerPoint. It's about getting judges comfortable with concepts like code exploits and blockchain forks. And court intervention? Whoa, that's a huge one. How does a court even begin to order a fix on a piece of code that is literally designed to be unchangeable? It means we'd have to build entirely new tools for justice in this digital age.
Of course, India isn't facing this challenge in a vacuum. If you look around the world, you see different strategies. In the US, it's being handled state by state, which is creating this kind of messy patchwork of different rules. The UK is taking a different bet. They think their existing common law is flexible enough to just adapt over time. And then you have a place like Singapore, which is rolling out the red carpet, creating super clear regulations to become a global hub for all this stuff. Every approach has its own pros and cons.
So we end up right back where we started, with a fundamental question about the future. The choice for India is pretty stark. Will it be proactive and write the legal code to shape its own digital future? Or will it wait and let the rigid, unchangeable nature of technological code write that future for it? The answer is going to define India's place in the next generation of the internet. No small stakes, right?